Good morning, everybody. It's time for another Bowers book review. This time, we're going to review a series of audiobooks called Hank the Cowdog, or The Adventures of Hank the Cowdog. Let me give you a brief Cliff Notes version of what Hank the Cowdog's about. Hank the Cowdog is a series of children's book mysteries, or kind of mysteries, about this cow dog that lives on a ranch in the Texas Panhandle, and he fancies himself as the head of ranch security, and he, along with his sidekick Grover, he solves all these cases. Like there's one in the series called The Wounded Buzzard on Christmas Eve. It's a dog's life. So he solves all these cases, and they are hilarious. And what makes them hilarious is the author, John R Erickson, does all the voices for the characters, and he's written over close to 100 books, probably by now, and they first were published as short stories in the Cattleman's Magazine, because John started out as a cowboy on a ranch, much like the ranch in the Hank books, and then he published, like I said, the first Hank story as a short story in the Cattleman's Magazine, and he decided to expound on those and turn them into books and audiobooks. And the first time I discovered him, we were living down in Texas, in Corpus Christi, and my grandma sent me the first 3 books, both in audio and print format, and I just immediately fell in love with them. And we would listen to them during dinner sometimes, and I would listen to them going to bed. Now, I would listen to them to go to bed, which is something that I've never been able to quit doing, is I always listen to books while I'm trying to fall asleep. But the only trouble with these is that sometimes when I would listen to them at night to go to sleep, I would end up laughing and get in trouble for laughing when I'm supposed to be sleeping. And I still collect them from time to time to this day. And like I said, he's written probably close to 100 books, or a little over 100, way over 100 books. I think you'll have to check the screen recording, because in lieu of a picture of the book, I am going to put a screen recording of all the books, all the Hank books that he's published. And along with these books, he also writes songs for the books and sings these songs. And at the end of, toward the end of the video, instead of putting because I can't put because I can't put it up in the cards, I am going to put our review of the first 3 Hank the Cowdog's Greatest Hits tapes I'm going to put our review of those in the video, so you can see it as kind of a bonus video, because of the fact I can't link those up in the cards because I'm doing this for my second channel. And when I was little, or when I was younger, I wrote John R Erickson a fan letter, and told him how much I liked the books, and asked him, where do you record and how do you record, and he was gracious enough to write me back, and that was my first encounter with celebrity, and so I was super excited. And then a couple years after that, I almost had the chance to meet him, because he would often do book signings and live shows, to where he'd read from the books, or but he had canceled, and I remembered being very upset about it. So, and since John he's continued to write the books, but he has also expanded into the Hank the Cowdog podcast. Unfortunately, he does not do the podcast recordings. I think, and I'll have to double check on this, but I think Matthew McConaughey does those. And there was talk of doing like an animated show or an animated movie at one time, but I think that kind of fell through. But like I said, I'm going to put our video of our review of the Hank the Cowdog's Greatest Hits series, at the end of this video, so you can see it. It's kind of a bonus video. Please check these out. And by the way, they were published by John's own publishing company, Maverick Books, and the books were illustrated by Gerald R. Holmes. And as far as the only other people to appear on the Hank the Cowdog audiobooks were sometimes his wife Christine would sing a song, and he would often have his children on as part of the audiobooks as well. And so please check these out. You will find them to be a laugh riot. I give this 5 stars. The first book and tape were published in 1983 and was entitled The Original Adventures of Hank the Cowdog. Good morning, everybody. We're going to start the week of reviews with our look at a series of children's cassette tapes called Hank the Cowdog's Greatest Hits. And let me give you a little background. Hank the Cowdog is a print and audio book series about a cowdog that fancies himself head of ranch security on a ranch, and basically it's a series of like children's mysteries. Like there's one called The Case of the Hooking Bull, The Case of the One-Eyed Killer Stud Horse, and it's by the books and audio books are by a former rancher, John R Erickson, who lives in Perryton, Texas. And there is maybe close to 100 books, and they first came out in 1983 as a series of stories in a cattleman's magazine, and then John decided to expound on the story and start writing them in book form. And I first became aware of Hank the Cowdog through my grandma when we lived in Texas. She sent me the first couple books on tape and on audio and in print. And then I started collecting the books in audio, and I have continued collecting them through the years, and they are just a laugh riot. And as part of the series, John writes these songs for Hank and the other characters to sing. And, he put out a series of tapes called Hank the Cowdog's Greatest Hits. And today we're going to review the first 3 of those. And also I'm going to tell you about another cassette tape that he put out toward the end of the review. But I love these cassette tapes because not only does he sing the songs, but he as himself, he kind of tells the story behind the song. And the first volume of the series, volume 1, I think contains songs from the first 3 Hank the Cowdog books, and the volume 2 contains songs from the next 3 Hank the Cowdog books, and volume 3 contains songs from 3 more, I think. But some of my favorite songs on the first volume are a song that Hank sings when he is with Rip and Snort, who are the Coyote brothers, called Me Just a Worthless Coyote. And actually there's 2 versions of that song. And another one of my favorites is a Christmas carol that Hank is a Christmas carol that Hank sings, I believe, in the Wounded Buzzard of Christmas Eve, or on Christmas Eve. And John often had his family participate in the recording of the books. His wife, Christine, sang a a song that was meant to be sung by Hank's love interest, Beulah, the collie, and his kids, Mark and Ashley, participated in the recordings as well. And one of the songs I think has one of the songs that Hank sings, I think has the melody of Procol Harum's, or something similar to the melody of Procol Harum's Whiter Shade of Pale. And the tape that I was going to tell you about at the end is a collection of hilarious conversations that John put together called Conversations with Drover. And Drover is Hank's assistant and, friend. And, John collected the best conversations between Hank and Drover from the books, and put those out, in a separate tape collection called Conversations with Drover. And I'm gonna show a picture of that tape as well. But the greatest hits collections were released between 1983 and 1990, and I was unable to find the greatest hits collections on CD, but you can get the greatest hits collections through Hank the Cowdog's website, and I'm gonna put a link, not in the cards, but I'm gonna put a link in the video, on a slide, so you can check Hank the Cowdog's website out. And like I said, there are close to maybe a couple hundred books out, so you have a lot of books to choose from. And so I hope you enjoy these. Audio and video provided by WeVideo and the YouTube Music Library. Screen recordings taken from the Hank the Cowdog website and Microsoft Word. Achieved using iPicky.com.